Okay, so I have my Variac over here. I'm going to turn this on kind of slowly, and let's see what happens. Okay, so at 50 volts, I already have the light on at the back. Okay, the amp just kicked in. That was at 70 volts. Okay. The amp is, the amp meter, there's an amp meter, it's kind of hard for y'all to see, but there's an amp meter right here. It's not drawing anything yet. I'm going to go up to 80. Okay. All right. I'm going to go up to 90. Okay. Light is still on over here. Power light's still on. We'll go up to 100. Light is on. Let me see if I can show y'all without doing any. So I don't know if y'all can see the light right there. It's on. Okay. I'm going to go up to 110. All right. I'm going to see if transistors, I mean, they should not be getting hot. So when you're working in electronics, you don't want to have any rings on or chains and stuff. All right, I'm going to go up to about 115. I'm going to take a picture of this and send it to my buddy. All right. Now, back in the day, there was ways to adjust the current, and since I don't have the manual for this thing, you would either adjust it by measuring voltage from a certain output emitter resistor across that, and you were measuring in millivolts and stuff, and there's a potentiometer. This one has a you can't see it, but it's potentiometer right there. But since I don't have the see, this is getting hot. Nope. Since I don't have the manual for it, I would know, you know, I think this is a class AB amp, I guess, you know, but I'm just going to assume, I know it's bad, that it's working fine. So my next thing to do is to pipe some music through here, put a dummy load on here. I got to go find my dummy load connected here, and then have my oscilloscope and see if I can see the signal going through there. Obviously it's just going to be low frequency. The better way to do that is to have a frequency generator and then pipe in a signal. Usually they would test these with 1,000 hertz frequency, and you know, you'd put your oscilloscope to 10 volts per division, And so then you look at the amp. The rails on this are 50, like I want to say 70, so 70 volts peak to peak. So you would inject the signal, the 1000 hertz sine wave. You turn it up until you are almost reaching. You don't really want to clip, but you'd reach, and then we would leave it on. And at that point, we could also be measuring current and stuff. But anyway, that's kind of how we would do it, and just to test it to see if the unit would stay on. And of course, the big O load resistor would get nice and hot. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. Okay, cool. So the light now is green. I'm assuming that when you power it on, it turns red. Yep, there you go. I'm hearing two different clicks. The first click is, I'm assuming it's the power supply turning on, this relay turning on the power supply for the amp. And then the second click, there's another relay over here. And what that does is it checks to see if there's any excess voltage on the main out right here, this red one. And if there isn't, then it turns on. All right. Well, cool. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so I got the amp going. Hooked up my oscilloscope. I got a dummy load right here. I don't know if y'all can see that. Let me move the dummy load over. There's the dummy load right there. That's a 4 ohm dummy load. I'm not sure why it's that color, because when I bought them many years ago, that was the color. Wow. The only thing I can figure is that it's up in a cabinet outside, well, in the garage, and there's some chemicals and stuff up there. And I don't know if those chemicals, they're basically chemicals like to kill ants and stuff like that. I don't know, it's beats me why it went from green to that color, although that's a cool color. Okay, so I don't have a frequency generator, so I just put my phone. This is a USB-C to 3.5 millimeter female, and then this silver one here is the male, and then it goes into 2 RCAs. Let me see if I can do this. It goes into 2 RCAs. Here's the volume. I got it about 125 hertz on down to go to the speaker. Now, earlier, God, I almost burned out the. I had the volume up so loud that the transformer was buzzing to the beat. Now that's pretty loud. Right now it's pretty warm. This guy is pretty warm. I've had it on for a while. Okay. Now what I don't like about this amp is once you plug it in here, the AC into the wall. Watch, I'm going to turn it off. I don't know if y'all can see that it went to green. The light right here. Well, this guy is still being powered. And so I think that's what kind of killed it. Or it could have had some the house where it was at could have had some type of close by lightning strike and caused, you know, a pulse to make this guy go out. Now earlier, the video before this, I'll probably put up the part where I shorted out one of the new ones. And to be honest with you, I don't know how it shorted out. All I did was I was connecting my makeshift alligator clips to the AC. Right, I had a cord with some alligator, or a plug with alligator clips, and one of them had come undone, and it was plugged in, and then I went to connect it, and it sparked, and it took this one out. And I don't know if y'all can see the little, this is one of the new ones I bought, which is kind of surprising. I mean, I don't know. But I can tell you this guy is warm, because I've had this thing on probably already for about an hour, just testing it, going through its paces. Okay? Excuse me. And I'm just playing, you know, some music off here. I know I don't have any bass, whatever. The way you're supposed to do it is have a frequency generator, plug in your frequency generator into the input, put in 1000 hertz, and adjust your volts per division. Right now my volts per division here are at 1 volt, and this is the adjustment for that right here. So this guy is for volts per division. This guy's for position up and down. I can actually, let me see if I don't get my hand in here. I can actually move the signal down. One of y'all can see that. I'll move it back up. And right now I'm just using one and the position is, it's showing you the position right here when you're doing it. It's, you know, right now it's at 0 volts. Anyway, now the frequency is done by this guy over here, and it says horizontal. This is vertical, this is horizontal. So it says vertical right here. I know it's hard to see, but in this gray area it says vertical, and then up here horizontal. So horizontal means your time frame, your period, which refers to frequency. So frequency is equal to 1 over T, capital T. That's period. Okay. So let me turn this guy on. So this is what I just don't like. It's always on, even though I turned it off. You could put it on auto, but now it's on. See? Well, it turned on because I have a signal going in. All right. What I'm going to do for my buddy is I'm just going to tell him, hey, disconnect it from the wall. You know, this is going to be in his photography studio, and I'm just going to tell him, if you remember every day, just unplug it. Anyway, so you can see that right now I have a signal going in. I don't know how loud I have it coming out of here, but I'm going to turn it up a little bit more. And so, I mean, you can see it's going 1 volt per division. It says 1, 2, 3. Oop, I guess the song stopped. Yeah. Let me put another song there. And we can turn it up even louder. So let it go there. And I can turn it up even louder. So I had it on so loud, I totally lost track as to how loud I had it, that this thing was actually humming and going to the bass. That I was trying to figure out, you know, because this is fairly new, and you can hit auto, but auto kind of wasn't working, and so I was trying to change the volts per division, and I finally kind of figured that out, and I forgot that I had this thing on so loud. My dummy load started to smoke. I mean, it got so hot that I couldn't even keep my hand on it. So I'm pretty sure this the transformer's working well. So anyway, just wanted to show you that it's going. And the next thing I'll do is I'll take it to my buddy's studio, and I'll install it into the sub, and we'll connect it over there, and hopefully it'll thump. Okay. Now, one thing you do need to know is that you always want to try and have your whatever it is that you're testing on isolated, and that's kind of what this is doing over here. My triac, my variac rather. And the reason is that this ground on this guy, which is the ground on the probe over here, it's kind of hard to see, but it's the ground on the probe. Let me move it up. It's going to be this ground right here. That ground is the same ground on the AC coming in. Okay. Typically, the ground on the speaker here, typically, it is grounded to this guy right here, the center tap. You know, yes, sometimes they use that same ground, but what will happen is if you have a special circuit and you ground that circuit to earth ground, it's not going to go well for you. Something's going to end up blowing up, and that happened to me on a pulse. What is it? Pulse width modulated power supply, or I think that's what they're called. I can't remember. And it ended up blowing the thermal fuse on that, and I managed to be able to buy one and put it in and fixed it. But I was very lucky that it didn't blow anything else. So you got to be real careful when you're doing that. You definitely want to have some isolation transformers, that way you can isolate everything and not run into that problem. Definitely, if you're doing something with high frequency, yeah, that's a different animal. So just keep that in mind. There's a couple of guys online that talk about that, like how not to destroy your whatever circuit is you're working on. Anyway, so just be mindful of that. So anyway, so it's working. Next time what I'll do is I'll probably be installing it, and I'll just do a quick video of it performing, doing the sub. Yeah, I'm starting to hear. Yeah, I'm starting to hear the transform kind of going to the beat of the music. Like I told my buddy, it's possible that this thing is definitely on the way out. And we do have another solution where we get two different transformers and plug it in here. And then, we can still save at least this part. Worst case scenario, he wants to take that money, $150 something, and just buy a totally new plate amp from Parts Express, not a sponsor. And we put it into the back of that and just be done with it. Okay, so but I just hate to see really good stuff like this go to waste. All right, I'm gonna power this down, and I'll talk to y'all later. Have a good one. So this is the sub. I finally installed it at my buddy's studio, and he plays music here, and it's working. All right, man. It's up and running. All right, see y'all later.